You know what? We've got another audience question.
Nice.
Let's have it. Tell us your name if you wish to share it with us, and what is your question?
Hey, I'm Connor.
Hey, Connor.
Hi, Connor.
And so this happened a while back. It was, so my hometown, it's here in the Austin area. They wanted to put up a promotional video of the town, but they also got a couple of the churches to also put up a part for, it's kind of going in this First Amendment, separation of church and state kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But at the time when I first heard about this, I was visiting with my parents, and I kind of mentioned it and got into this conversation with my dad about it. And it got to the point where I was just trying to think of how to respond to him, or like how to talk to him about like how, because he said that it's freedom of religion, not freedom from religion. Mm. And it was just like, how to respond to something like that.
Mm.
All right. Let's go to the First Amendment, eh?
Yeah, go ahead and pull up the Establishment Clause.
Yeah, First Amendment.
We're going to let the residential alleged attorney
Thank you.
Get that out there for you.
All right.
Yes.
The First Amendment provides that Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or promoting its free exercise. Mm-hmm. That's the starting point for constitutional jurisprudence on the First Amendment. There has been well nigh 200 XX years of court cases dealing with this situation. And I don't have any off the top of my head. It's not an area of law that I practice on a regular basis. I actually did a little bit of this in yesteryear. But basically, the Freedom from Religion Foundation is a good place to check out where their arguments are on this and where separation of church and state jurisprudence is located. Lately, there has been a distasteful blending of church and state, and arguably it's been going on for quite some time. We didn't start off this way, but we've certainly gone down this dark and dingy path toward a theocracy. But ask your family members if they would be fine with, let's say, a community in a particular part of town establishing, I don't know, Sharia law or making everyone do some Buddhist traditions or the satanic, not the snarky, sarcastic satanic temple, but actual devil-believing Satan worshipers who believe that old pointy beard is a real cosmic entity,
deserving of worship.
Yeah, of worship. Mm-hmm. Would they be fine with that? No. Oh, gee whiz. What would be some ways that we could prevent people from being forced to worship Allah or Buddha or Zarathustra or El Diablo? Oh, you might separate government and religion. You might do that. And how might you do? What might be some ways that would show up? What would be some ways that you would separate church and state? What would that look like?
What would that look like if ways that we can separate church and state?
Yeah.
Well, one of the things that I think of is like I would ask people, would you want, is like if you are a religious person, like say if you're a Christian, would you want the government to come in and tell you how to practice your religion? How to practice your belief, what type of iconography to put in your places of worship. What if like the government came in and told you that you can no longer display crosses or display statues of Jesus, or in Catholic churches maybe like the Mother of Jesus, Mary. How would you like if any type of government entity came in and told you that what you can and cannot do, what you should say or should not say in your particular faith? Would you like that? But, I would say 10 times out of 10 they would say no, maybe, most likely. And so then I would most likely turn it around. So how would one would feel if they're not religious to have, or even if they are religious, to have like religious edicts posted on them through law that would govern their lives? You know, how would that sit with you? And then usually that can possibly like open up the door to actually have like a discourse, and then hopefully he'll be a decent one. Hopefully.
You want to know something before we get that additional comment? It's your dad, right? I can't.
Hang on.
Yeah, it's on.
Yeah, it's him. And just to clarify, this was around not. So he said freedom of religion, not freedom from religion, because the context was around essentially the local governments working in cooperation on something with the churches. So to the stuff y'all brought up, they would still say freedom of, but not freedom from religion.
Freedom of, but not freedom from religion. But that happens all the time. There are government, religion, private, public collaborations on lots of things. And,
sure is.
And so that's not surprising. And I don't entirely have a problem with it if it's specifically circumscribed. Now, what if we had a KKK church?
Right.
You know, do I want my municipality to be teaming up with them over garbage cleanup? Well, if it's just about garbage cleanup, but it's in a way, it's a promotion. It's a promotion of that group as being socially acceptable. And so no. So now you're getting into government policing the views of what's acceptable, what's not. The best thing to do is just not to team up. But I would say this to your dad, and others who would say this. If you're willing to share, what particular sect of religion are they?
Well, my dad and most of his side of the family is Catholic. My mom and most of her side of the family is Lutheran. I'm Baha'i.
You're Baha'i.
Okay.
Well, I would say this, that certain demographic numbers are certain groups are shrinking. Certain groups are losing growth. Other groups are on the rise. And I don't want to paint this, rosy portrait for us non-believers here, but I'm going to make a prediction, and in 1,000 years, let's see where we are. I imagine that many religious groups are going to be endangered within my lifetime, because the young people are not tolerating the crap that these church elders are promoting. Now, I don't know about Lutherans. I know the Catholics are trying to put a good face on things lately with Papa Francisco and all that. But nevertheless, right now, many Christian-oriented churches are in the reins. They're in the control.
They're declining.
But they're declining.
Yeah. On the nonprofits recently, they covered a recent survey. I think that even Hemant Mehta mentioned this on his particular blog about how Christianity is going to become a minority religion by 2070.
That's right. We did cover that.
Yeah, we did cover that, and it's a lot of it has to do with some things that Johnny said. Also, we have like a lot of the scandals that are coming out, like sexual abuse scandals from the Catholic Church, and even like recently the Southern Baptist Convention, and just like. A lot of people are really tired of that blurring of like a church intermingling itself with law. And so that's and so we're seeing, especially from the Gen Zers, a big pushback from that. And I think that if my father would have said to me like it's freedom of religion, not from religion, then I said, well, doesn't the freedom from or freedom of means that I also have the right to not practice a religion?
And his tolerance levels are right now, he's perfectly comfortable with that level of crossover, right? But your father has to imagine a world where Islam, Sunni, Shia, the other kind that with the whirling dervishes, what's that, Sufi?
Yeah.
Is the dominant religion. Sharia law has come to the United States, right? Fox News and that kind of stuff. How comfortable is he with this current kind of freedom of religion from religion dichotomy when Sharia is on top, when different kinds of extreme forms of Islam, or heaven forbid, those Buddhists come to get you. Like, would he change his tune if it was a different religion that's on top? I guarantee you he would. You can turn the microphone on. It's okay.
It is on.
All right.
It is now.
It was on my end. I don't know about your guys back there.
Yeah, it's on now.
Okay.
Go ahead.
You're good.
Well, the thing is, he's not some backwoods hick. I mean,
Did I say he was?
I'm just throwing out example.
Okay.
He does have a job where it takes him around the world, so he's met plenty of people of different backgrounds. So he's definitely not an Islamophobe, and I honestly don't know to that last question how much he would change, because when you actually look into it, a lot of that stuff, there's a lot of stuff in Sharia law that kind of lines up with what a lot of hardcore Christians say they want for this country.
Sure.
So, I mean, if there's enough crossover but not too much, I mean, I honestly don't know if he would have a problem with it or not.
I think I would ask your father that question if you had a chance, because we know that the dominating religion right now is Christianity. So it's usually a fallback. Even with people who happen to be learned and intelligent. I know that some people will love to say theists are stupid. I do not subscribe to that whatsoever, because a lot of them are not.
Yeah.
However, it's easier to kind of default to certain positions because your guy's on top. Right? So if that's the case, then that's when, some people can be a bit more loose when it comes to saying that if the Establishment Clause really means freedom of religion, not from religion. But I would be curious to know what your father would say if that particular question was posed to him. Well, what if it was Islam? Or what if it was Hinduism? Or what if it was Buddhism? What it was,
devout Catholic, so I'll probably just have to stick with the Satanists put up a part of that promotional video too.
Okay, so how about this? Is your father cool with the U.S. government hauling in the archbishops, the FBI, in doing an RICO investigation, hauling in the archbishops that are in the United States, indicting them for conspiracy to commit, wide-scale child molestation and child
endangerment.
Endangerment, and suing the cassocks off of them. Mm-hmm. Is he cool with that?
I've never had that conversation with him. I mean, I know he is against the act, so...
Damn right he is. Mm-hmm. Does he give money to the church?
I assume so.
And does he know where the money goes? Does it go to the pedophile defense fund? Because it does.
It really does.
And it goes into gold bars.
He's only involved with the local church.
Yeah, but where do you think that money gets kicked up to the Vatican? Do you think that the Vatican has special money? No, it's a trickle up.
Yeah.
I think in some regards like this, he might have blinders on.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's hard to accept. I've talked about my buddy, who I just saw last night. He's Catholic. He stands by all the best principles of Catholicism, and he hates the bad stuff. He's pro-science, he's pro-women, he's pro-LGBTQ, he's pro being a good dude, and yet he makes a special, I don't know what he does. I don't know how he does it.
A special dispensation for the existence of the Catholic Church, and kind of ignoring some of the other issues.
He wants there to be change, but I don't see him down there at his church making up a ruckus, trying to get, trying to haul these people before court, turning them in. He's not requesting an audit. But again, back to the whole point of this is when you've got too much overlap between church and state and you've got intermingling of resources and intermingling of personnel and oversight and things like that. We're going to be talking about that in the nonprofits thing happening in Buffalo right now.
Right, exactly.
Is now you've got, it's a two-way street that's bad. You've got, on the one hand, you've got the religious group having too much influence on political decision-making, but then you've got, on the other side of it, you've got governmental entities, political forces, right, forcing churches to modify their practices to conform with political forces. Now, that's great when your political force is on top. But when your political force is not on top, the shoe's on the other foot. And so I think the easiest way is to try to keep it as separate as possible by not having that intermingling, by not having, 10 commandments on
walls
public grounds
of courts and things of that.
Right. And those are just symbolic,
right?
In your face ways of doing it. There's so many ways that there's intermingling. I honestly think that although maybe it's a First Amendment violation, but having ministers, having preachers in government is a problem. Having political speech inside churches is certainly a problem. But and there are laws against it, but it's got to be enforced. But then now you're dealing with the political process of having to enforce those laws, and those are unpopular positions until non-believers or believers who are much more aware of the need for a separation of church and state that includes religious people who want government and church separate.
And those exist.
And lots of them exist.
They exist.
They need to rise up and take over the electorate in numbers and vote the bums out. Last thought, then we got to move on.
Okay, so I wasn't here for the beginning of the show. What is your costume supposed to be?
I'll tell you after the show. Thank you so much. All right, we're going to move on.